Hello, hello. Hope everybody is well. My name is Tsepo Khabane and I'm part of the team at Black Bullion South Africa. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you've had a lovely and productive day. And what a way to wrap it up by flirting with finance. A match made in money. So much to look forward to in terms of today's session. It is being recorded, so even if you're watching on the go, you're in traffic, you're in the taxi, you are somewhere, we'll be recording the session. So drop in, drop out, but try and stick with us for as long as you can. Like I mentioned earlier on, my name is Tsepo Khabane. I'm part of the Black Bullion South Africa team. Now, in 2021, we launched Black Bullion South Africa, a free digital financial education platform to help young people to become money smart, all thanks to Sanlam Foundation. And since then, it's been an amazing journey with over 30 amazing partners. And most importantly, we've given more than 10,000 young people free access to our platform. So, what is today all about? Maybe you've signed up onto Black Bullion and you've explored the platform a little bit, and now you've got some burning money questions. Should I save or invest first? What actually improves my credit score? Is betting the same as investing? Why does my money personality matter? Questions, questions, questions. And we've got you covered because we will be joined by the modern financial advisor. And she'll be giving us some advice and answering some of your burning money questions. Or perhaps you've heard of Black Bullion, you don't have access as yet, and you're curious, you want to know what is it all about? What does it look like? What content is on the platform? I've got you covered. Or perhaps you want to know more about why is it important to be financially savvy as a young person? Why should you care? Believe me when I say this, right? You don't need to be rich to start wanting to learn. And these skills, the skills you will learn on Black Bullion, you will carry them through your adulting years. So there's so much that you'll be learning. But today, there is something for everybody, including some goodies. We'll also have some goodies coming up as well. So we'll be flirting with finance, a match made in money. And when I mention those goodies, they're courtesy of our partners at Paymentology. They're amplifying today's session and they'll be giving us some nice goodies. I'll tell you exactly what those goodies are. Big shout out to Paymentology. They are a leading global issuer processor in empowering banks and top performing fintechs with advanced payment solutions. What do I mean by goodies? Sexy things, nice things. So we've got 5 vouchers. It's a mix of Mr. Price vouchers, Uber vouchers, Checkers vouchers, each valued at $100. And I would like to give those to you, right? For being with us, right? So in order to stand a chance to win some of these vouchers, you've got to do a number of things. Please engage in the chat as much as you can. Follow us on social media. I'll share all our social media handles. And then ask questions. Share your thoughts in the chat. The more you engage, the more you ask questions, your chances increase in terms of winning those goodies. Please don't be shy. In terms of our social media, you can find us on Facebook. We've got a page, Black Bullion South Africa. We are on Instagram at Black Bullion SA. We're also on Twitter, which is now called X at Black Bullion SA. You can find us on TikTok as well. And of course, you can also pop us an email, blackbullion@wafunda.com. We are everywhere in terms of social media. So what can you expect in today's session? What's on the menu? So we're going to kick it off by spilling the tea. We're going to talk a bit about what Black Bullion is and how can you get free access to the platform. We'll talk more about building a relationship with money. Why is it so important? We'll go speed dating with our financial advisor. So if you do have any money related questions, get into the chat right now, drop your question. A few people have already started dropping some of their questions. And then last but not least, we've got them goodies. We'll be handing out those vouchers. So much to look forward to in terms of today's session. And this is where I want us to start. Get into the chat box, right? So we are talking about flirting with your money. But I want to know a little bit more about you and your money, right? What word best describes your current relationship status with your money? So if you and money were in a relationship, what word would describe that relationship? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it critical? Is it stable? Is it sexy? Keen to know from you guys, what word best describes your current relationship status with your money? And while people are adding their words, right? If your relationship isn't good with money, what do you need to do in order for it to be better in the future? If it's not good, right? I see Asanda says it's in ICU. Babalo says it's critical. If you're in that position, what are you supposed to do for your relationship to be better? Right? Someone read a couple of your comments. Spongile says committed. Grace says it's quite bad. Chriswell, big shout out to you. I know you from the Bowland rugby team. He says it's a love-hate type of relationship. Dakalo says it's quite understanding. Palisa says very, very scary. Sianda says chase relationship. Who's chasing who? Sianda, are you chasing the money? Is the money chasing you? What's going on? Ayanda says it's quite healthy. All right, that's good. That's good. Murundwa says it's promiscuous. I need more. What do you mean it's promiscuous? Oh, goodness me, it's going on in the chat. Absolutely crazy stuff going on in the chat. Kamu says it's quite toxic. Millicent says, it's okay. Clotho says it's improving. It's getting better. So it seems it's a mixed bag. But most, it doesn't seem to be good. And my question remains, if you don't have a good relationship with money, what are you supposed to do so that the relationship improves over time? It gets a little bit better, right? That's one of the questions that we'll be answering during the course of this session. So for those that are brand new, they don't know what Black Bullion is all about. What is it? It is not a course, right? It's not a course where you can sit for 3 hours and then now you are this genius at budgeting. No. I see it as a financial companion. So that when you experience a money moment, something happens in your life where you need information to make a decision on money, you've got this tool that will give you the information that you need. So it's a platform that we've developed specifically for young people. It's digital, it's easy to use. It's got articles, it's got videos, it's got built-in quizzes, it's got tools so you can create a budget. You can figure out what your money personality is, all while winning some amazing vouchers. So as you're working through the content, we're then able to give you rewards for doing well. So like I said, it is not a course, it is a platform to help you build a relationship with money. So let's just say you now have an allowance and you're thinking, I want to create a budget. What do? You go onto the platform, there's a budgeting tool, there's a budgeting article, there's videos. Maybe you want to start saving, or you want to start investing, or you want to make some sort of decision with money. This is where you go to get a little bit more information, right? And so what does the platform actually look like? Like, we're talking about it, we're saying it's all great and well. So I want to just quickly show you what this actual platform looks like. So it's going to take a couple of seconds to load and come onto my screen. You should be seeing it coming up real soon. So for those that can now see it, this is what the Black Bullion platform looks like. And you will notice that it is very, very colorful, right? Because sometimes money is so scary and so confusing and so dull and boring. So our platform is quite colorful. And when you get free access to the platform, you will have our entire library open to you. So what is some of the content that is here? Building your CV. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you've landed your first job and you want to understand your payslip. Maybe you're going through some money stress and you want to see, how do I reduce it? Maybe you want an introduction to investing. Maybe you want to get work experience and you want to figure out, what do I need to do? Maybe you want to start budgeting. You want to start saving. You want to understand compound interest. Maybe you've heard, get a credit card. What is a credit card? What is interest? How does this help my credit score? Maybe you're thinking of getting money from a loan shark. What are some of the dangers? Maybe you're trying to deal with black tax, a little bit of some pressure from home. What are some things that you should consider in terms of tackling that type of discussion? Maybe you're interested in cryptocurrency 101. We all hear about Bitcoin and all of that. What does it all mean? Maybe you're interested in a live file or figuring out insurance. Maybe you want to start a stock file. Maybe you've got a side hustle and you've heard that you need to start paying taxes. Or somebody on Instagram has DM'd you about this amazing investment opportunity. How do you know it's a scam? How do you know it's real? So there's a lot of interesting content on the platform, a mix of different types of content. There's basically three types of content that you can interact with, right? So the first is what we call our tools, right? So we've got the money mindset tool. And the money mindset tool is essentially a money personality test. So believe it or not, we all have a unique money personality, right? Based on our attitudes, our beliefs. You basically take this quiz and it'll tell you what your money personality is, right? So me, I'm a little bit stingy. I'm a little bit stingy with money, right? That's what it said about me. The question is, what would it say about you? So we've got a money mindset. The other tool that we have is you have the ability to basically create your own budget, which is also a really, really cool thing. You can come on, you can create your own budget. We call it the spending snapshot. So you can come onto here, create your own budget, try and figure out what am I going to put in the income side, what am I going to put on the expenses side. You can come and create your own budget that lives on the platform. Nobody else can see it, not even me, right? It's your own unique one. So we've got the tools, the money personality, the spending snapshot, and then we've got articles, different types of articles on the platform. So you've got an article example on compound interest. So you can go and read this short but educational article on what is compound interest. You can even listen to this article. We've tried to make it simple and sexy and easy and not difficult to understand. And then what gets everybody excited and happy are what we refer to as pathways. This is where the videos come in. This is where the quizzes come in. This is where you can unlock badges. This is where you get that opportunity to win some goodies, some delicious things, right? So I want to quickly show you an example of what a normal pathway would look like. So if we open up debt as an example, so the idea here with debt is that debt as a topic is broken down into lessons, and these are actually videos explaining what is debt, what is compound interest, what do we mean when we say credit worthiness, student loans, dealing with debt. Once you've gone through all these videos, there's then a challenge of 10 questions where you will get a score. My job and the rest of the team at Black Bullion is to see who's engaging, who's doing well, who's unlocking badges as they go through all of the content, and then we're able to give you rewards and goodies. So this is what the platform looks like. Very simple, very easy. It's a web platform. You'll be able to use it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. As long as it can enter the internet, you are sorted out. Very easy, very intuitive, very cool platform. I know the next question will be, okay, Tsepo, it looks great. I want access. Where do I get in? How do I get in? Very, very, very simple. If you are part of any of our partners, we've got a network of partners. So the City of Joburg, Year Beyond, the Yes for Youth Initiative, Signa Study Trust, you're a student at NWU, Thrive, you stay at one of the buildings. If you're part of any of the partners on the screen, you would have already received an email invitation. If not, speak to your institution, your organization, they will give you access, or you can email us, blackbullion@wafunda.com, and we will get you sorted. We'll make sure that you've got access, right? So if you're part of any of these organizations, you already likely have access, or at very least an email invitation to come onto the platform. If not, you might have gotten access to our microsite. So it's a link. I'll ask one of our team members to share it in the chat. You can also scan it as well. If you've got your phone out, scan it. It'll take you to our microsite, and you'll be able to get access to the Black Bullion platform as well. So these are partners such as SADC, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Some of those young people from there are able to get access from here. And then, if you've heard of us on social media, at an event, on Google, you can also get free access to the platform. If you scan the QR code here, that will take you straight to one of our websites. You'll be able to click on register, fill in all your information, and you'll be able to get direct access to the platform. But what's really, really important, if you're confused, you're wondering how else do I get access, just drop us a message, right? Drop us an email, blackbullion@wafunda.com. We will respond to you. We'll figure out, are you part of any of the existing partners? And we will make sure that you get access to the tool. So that's what Black Bullion is all about. We will share all this information with you as well via email. So we've got you covered. Now, one of the questions that often comes up is, Tsepo, we hear you. Black Bullion, a great platform. Why should I care? Like, I don't even have a salary. Why is this important? Why should this matter? And I'm going to say this, right? Money is one of the most important commodities in the world. It quite literally makes the world go round. We use money every single day to do something, right? And money has the power to free you, but it also has the power to enslave you. So some people are free because they've saved, they've invested, they've made good decisions with their money. And some people have been enslaved by money because they've not made good decisions with money, right? They're living beyond their means. They've created debt. They've not saved. They're not invested. So money has so much power, right? But also money is scary, guys. Like the moment somebody brings up money, you're like, oh, this conversation, I mean, I come from a household where money isn't openly discussed. It's not a big topic, right? It's a little bit of a secret. And money is also emotional. It brings up emotions in all of us, right? With all of that said, so few of us know how to keep money, know how to grow money, know how to make money work for us. And I'm not talking about large sums of money, but that extra 200 Rand, that extra 100 Rand, we're not making the best decisions with money. And nurturing this relationship with money is so important because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. We've got people now that are working, earning big sums of money, and they're in so much debt because they don't make the right decisions, right? Because if you can't manage 100 Rand, you're not going to manage 1,000 Rand or 10,000 Rand or 100,000 Rand. The rules of money stay the same irrespective of the amount. That's why it's so important, right? And as you can tell, I'm very passionate about financial education. I'm passionate about helping young people to build a relationship with money. And when I started this journey, I was very curious to understand, why don't people have a good relationship with money? Like, what's the problem? I wanted to solve it. What is the issue, right? Because we've all heard you should save money. When you start working, you must invest, you must buy property. We've all heard that you must live within your means. We've all heard that you must stick to this budget. You mustn't blow the budget. We've all heard these different types of things in relation to money. But still, very few of us make good decisions with money. I'm like, we've heard these things are important, but why don't we do them? What's the actual issue, right? And when I was talking to a group of young people a couple of months ago, somebody said to me, no, Tsepo, we don't save and invest because we don't have money. What are we saving? What are we investing? And then I said to them, how do you explain this show? How do you explain this show called I Blew It? For those that have never seen the show before, it's on Mzansi Magic, and the show profiles people that have won or have received large sums of money. So it could have been from the road accident fund, they won the lottery, they were a soccer player and had large sums of money, and all of them blew this money. Right, so I'm not bringing this up to mock them or to make them feel bad, but these are people that got more money, but they didn't save, they didn't invest, they didn't budget. So what happened? What went wrong? Why aren't we making good decisions with money? And this is the answer. It's going to sound really, really strange, but this is the answer. The answer is this: we are human beings, and human beings are complicated. We're very complicated individuals. And all of us have a different relationship with money, a unique relationship with money, right? So if I was to give one person 10,000 Rand and give another person 10,000 Rand, what they do with that money depends on their relationship with money. But why do they do things differently? And I discovered that your upbringing, your environment, your friends, your family, your culture, they all influence the way in which you handle money. They influence the type of relationship that you have with money. So if you come from a household where you have money trauma, we don't talk about money. The only time we talk about money is the fact that we don't have it. When you grow up, you also become very secretive with money. You treat money in a certain way, right? Because money wasn't there. You all of a sudden are stingy, or you blow money too much, right? So I discovered that your upbringing, your environment, your friends, your education They all have an impact on the way in which you handle money. What does this mean? It means money is psychological and money is very emotional, and people don't talk about it, right? The moment you hear the word money, there's some sort of emotion that comes up, right? So I was discovering so many things. I was like, yo, money is so complicated, guys. It's tricky, this thing. And so as I'm learning about money, I came across this really interesting rule that says if you want to have a positive relationship with money, so those that say their relationship with money is a big fight, it's complicated, it's toxic. If you want to have a good relationship with money, there's a specific rule that you should start to follow. And the rule is the 20-80 rule, right? Where it says 20% of your relationship with money is knowledge. What do you know? 80% is behavior. What do you do with the knowledge that you have? In other words, if you've got a bad relationship with money, what are you doing to make the relationship better? Right? So we've given you access to Black Bullion. What are you doing with it? Are you utilizing the platform? Are you logging in? Are you creating a budget? Right? So let me use a different example to make this a little bit more clear. Let's just say that tomorrow I decide as Tap that December's around the corner. I want to lose weight. I want to have a six-pack. And guys, I'm a big guy. I'm a very big guy. But now let's just decide. I now want to have a six-pack, a summer body. So I decide to go and see a dietitian. And the dietitian says, Tsepo, this is the diet that I want you to follow. These are the things that you should eat. These are the things that you shouldn't eat, right? And then after that, I decide to go to the gym, and there's some personal trainer, some big guy, and then he comes to me and says, okay, Tepo, if you want to lose weight, you need to come to the gym on Monday, on Wednesday, on Friday. You need to do this and do that and do a little bit of cardio and all of these things, right? What is going to determine if I get to the summer body, I lose weight, is what I do with the information that's been given to me. In other words, right, am I eating the things that are on the diet? Am I going to the gym? That's what will determine if I lose weight or not. Same thing with money. The knowledge and the information is there. Save, invest, budget. There's tools like Black Bullion. What you do with it determines if you'll have a good or a bad relationship with money, right? So discover this rule. I'm like, hey, this is really, really interesting. And then something else quite amazing happened. I met this really interesting lady called Dr. Ilza Alberts. She's since passed away, unfortunately. And she was a wealth psychologist. Very, very fancy, right? We've all heard of what a psychologist is. But she operated in the space of wealth. So her job was to figure out, why do we behave the way we behave when we have money? Because it's such a crazy thing. Like, even when your allowance comes in, like in the middle of the night, you just feel, even when you're at the ATM and you're making withdrawal and the machine does that, grrr, you just feel, I don't know how to explain it, but you get it. You feel good. So her job was to figure out, why do we behave the way we behave with money? And she said something to me that forever changed my life. She said to me, Chepo, because you didn't say Tepo, she said, Chepo, I want you to imagine that you are in a romantic relationship with your money. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, me and money are dating? Like, we're together? She says, yes. You are flirting and you are dating money. I said, okay. Then she said to me, what do you need to do in order to make this relationship work? Right? What is the effort and the dedication that you need to pour into this relationship? She said to me, Tepo, this relationship, there needs to be commitment. There needs to be trust. There needs to be compromise. There needs to be love, attention, affection. There needs to be self-awareness. There needs to be respect. If these things exist in your relationship with money, there's a good chance that you've got a good relationship with it. If they don't, there's a good chance that you and money, you're not getting along. And the reason why this is important is that money reciprocates. If you take care of money, money will take care of you. If you save money, one day money will save you. If you invest your money, one day money will pay you an income. So if you earlier on in the conversation said, I don't have a good relationship with money, I mean, is there commitment? You said you would save, you would invest, you would budget. Did you do it? Can you be trusted with money? When it comes into your account, can you be trusted? Do you make all the compromises with money? Do you show your money love, attention, and affection, or only on the way it comes into your account? You self-aware when you got money, you respect money, right? These are the important things that you asked me. And then I said to her, hey, Dr. Ilza, hey, but now you're also attacking me. Now Yeah. I said to her, outside of these things, what else should I be doing in order to start building and flirting with my money and building a good relationship? And she said to me, simple people that have a good relationship with money, it's not necessarily perfect, but it is intentional. You got that? It's intentional. So these are the people who want to keep their money. They want to grow their money. They want to put their money to work. These are the people that have a budget. It's not a complicated budget, but they've got a good idea of how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and where. Where's my money going? Right? These are the people who are saving and investing. Once again, not large sums of money, but that 10 Rand, that 50 Rand, that 100 Rand, they're able to put it away. They're starting to invest. These days you can invest and buy shares for as little as 1 Rand. There's no excuse. These are the people who are managing their debt and their credit responsibly. They're paying them off. They're not ducking and diving when, butching company are chasing you. So not perfect, but intentional. They want to grow their relationship with money, right? And then she said to me, what are the signs of people that have a bad relationship with money? These aren't bad people, right? But these are people that are not intentional about their money, right? They don't have a budget. Money is coming in, money is going out. They don't save, they don't invest. And once again, I'm not talking about large sums of money, but just get started. That 100 Rand, the 200 Rand, the 300 something. These are the people who are abusing debt and credit. They're not making smart decisions. So their credit score is not looking sexy at all. So intentional and not intentional, and then making an effort, saving, investing, budgeting, making use of free tools like the Black Bullion platform as an example, right? So all in all, what I've learned in this journey is that if you want to build a healthy relationship with your money, it starts with controlling your emotions, your behavior, both of which are shaped by your money personality that we spoke a bit about earlier on. And mastering this is the key to better financial decisions, right? So we've wrapped it up, and guess what? We're about to go on a date. And my date has arrived. She's looking beautiful. I can already see her there. Earlier on, we spoke a bit about Black Bullion. What's that all about? And maybe now you've got questions. Maybe now you're saying, okay, cool. I want to build this relationship with money. I want to make better decisions, but I've got questions around money. So we'll be speed dating with Mpapuli, the modern financial advisor, here to answer all your burning money questions. She's lovely, highly experienced, independent financial planner. You might have heard her on Metro FM. She's always doing some amazing content, and she is here to answer some of your questions. So get into the chat, ask her any question that you have around money. Remember, we do have those 5 vouchers up for grabs. And I can already see there's 1 or 2 questions that have been coming in, stuff around credit scores. So while people are thinking, it's simmering, it's marinating, the questions are coming, I'm going to bring her onto stage to answer some of the burning money questions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Tepo. Thank you for inviting me to your platform. I must say, I do actually have butterflies in my tummy because
Look, it's a date.
I'm
It's a
about
date.
to be on a date with money. Like, oh my gosh, how exciting can this be? I mean, every girl loves being on a date. So I can't wait to hear what my dates have to say to me.
Definitely. So, if you've got any money questions, there's no dumb question. Anything that you want to ask around money, please get into the chat. Paul, while I start putting some of the questions together, I want to kick it off with this question, right? So, we've
Mm,
got financial advisors, we've got financial planners. What is the
mhm.
difference between the two, and what role do they play in helping us to build a relationship with money?
Okay. So, financial advisors and financial planners are more or less the same. So the scope of financial advisors is very wide because you get independent financial advisors and then you also get tied financial advisors. So the difference between the two is that a tied financial advisor works for a specific company and they can only provide advice and financial solutions that are provided by that particular company that they work for versus an independent financial advisor like myself. I can source or I have relationships with numerous insurance investment companies, healthcare, or medical aid providers, short-term insurance providers. I get to, so I'm not tied to any particular company. So there's no conflict of interest if I recommend a product by a specific company to you and I present a product by another company. So being tied then means that you cannot go and advise on other companies' profiles. Not to name drop or anything, but then just make an example. I work for Discovery, so I kickstarted my career at Discovery. Actually, I've been with Discovery for 6 years, and part of the reasons I went independent was because I got into the financial literacy space, the finfluencing space, as they call it. Funny enough, the term finfluencer came about with a gent from the FSCA. I had a meeting at one of the Sentin buildings, and then he's like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like, no, I'm a financial planner, and I also do, social media content. Is like, "Oh, you're a finfluencer." I'm like, "Oh, is that what we called?" Cool, I'm that. Yeah, so that's just the difference between the two. However, then I feel like the role of a financial planner then the difference between a financial planner and a financial advisor is that a financial planner will then walk the financial journey with you, because the first thing you do when you sit with a financial advisor, we do what we call a financial needs analysis, right? So once we've done a financial needs analysis, we look at what are your needs, what is your income, do you have any debts, how much do you have available to put away into savings, what is your goal. So we dive deep into what is your financial goal, what are you aiming to achieve, do you have any short-term savings goals, do you have any long-term investment goals, and that's what we then try to put in place. Then you then have your entire financial plan in place. Then my role as a financial planner is to ensure that you are meeting the goals that you have set for yourself. So I'll walk the journey with you to say, okay, cool, when you got your first job, you wanted to save for a house, or you wanted to save for a deposit so you can move into a new apartment. Okay, cool. Now we've got the deposit for the new apartment. What's next? We didn't have anything for retirement in place a year ago when we were having a conversation. Then let's try and put stuff in place. So I love the fact that this is a dating with finances session, because you once you form that relationship with a financial planner, we are basically married, and I become part of your life forever, because every change that happens in your life, and when I say to clients, any financial change that happens, they think if they get any money from, either inheritances or if they earn an income, but then any change, including you getting married, including changing careers, including, having kids and all of that. So you literally need to start that relationship with your financial married. So I would say that a financial advisor, walks that journey with you as a financial planner. Then we also have financial advisors that for example, with
Go
like a financial
ahead.
advisor that's in a call center. So in most cases, yes, Seppo,
Cool. I was just losing
can
you
you
there
hear
for a
me?
second. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, not a problem. So with other financial advisors, you get financial advisors that have um, a face-to-face relationship with clients, because now if you are in corporate or you're a tied advisor, you have financial advisors that then go out and have face-to-face relationships with clients. And then you have those ones that are sitting in the call center. So those would be the ones that would call you to ask, can we compare your insurance? Do you have a medical aid? Do you have, they are more sales driven, but then they do render financial advice on the products that they are selling you. So you don't really have like an up close or a personal relationship with that particular person, because all they do is sell you a product. They will give you financial advice on it because you'll ask questions on it, but then you are not building that relationship with them. And then you also find financial advisors that are only licensed to give advice on a particular product or a specific product. So if you get a financial advisor that's in the call center and they're selling you, or you want to take out an investment, they can only advise on that particular investment. But then when it comes to now integrating your portfolio and looking at what are the benefits if I add a retirement annuity to with the same company? What are the benefits if I have a life insurance? Which life insurance, or how much life insurance do I need to take out? Which medical aid do I need to go for? Then you will then need a financial, well, it's still a financial advisor, but a financial planner would then
Mm,
say, okay, let's do a needs analysis, and then let's see what are your needs, from your medical needs analysis, from your short-term insurance needs analysis, to your investment needs analysis. So financial advisors, there's many scopes, or there's many portfolios within the financial advisory space, because you find those ones that are in contact with clients, there's ones behind the that are sitting in the call center. You also have bankers as well who are financial advisors, because in the banks, when you walk into a bank, there's always going to be a person that's going to advise on the products as a bank. So some are bankers slash financial advisors. So that would be the scope of financial advisors
mm.
slash financial planners. Yeah.
There's quite a lot. Yeah, it's complex.
It
There's
is
so
a
much.
lot.
So much. So much.
There's
So I want
wealth
to.
managers there as well. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
there's so much. There's so much to look forward to. So I want to kick off the date with a kiss coming from Siam Tanda, and another
Ooh.
kiss to the other cheek that's coming from somebody else, Sikulile, and it's got to do with credit scores. The one
Yes.
is around what actually improves my credit score, and the other question that we're also going to ask our financial planner is how does one improve their credit score without necessarily opening up an account like a TFG? So it's questions around credit scores. What can you do to improve it? And are there other ways to make it better without necessarily opening up an account? Mpho, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. The credit score thing is a bit tricky because unfortunately our laws when it comes to finances uh, sort of playing against us when you're trying to be debt free, because in order to build a healthy credit score, you need to have some sort of debt, or you need to have a certain amount of debt, and you need to manage it well so that you create a healthy credit profile for yourself. But then things like store accounts, I mean, I remember when I was in varsity, I fell into the trap of opening a store account in varsity, because um, I think the salespeople know where there's students, and they know exactly what to say to students, because they know we are broke, and they'll see us watching these clothes, and they're like, no, just take out an account, even if it's just for 2,000 rands, and then you can pay it off. You only have to pay 100 rands every month. But that is actually where the problem starts, because once you have that credit of 2,000 rands, next month you're thinking of paying it off. You're like, no, I'm not going to pay it off. I'll just pay the minimum 100 bucks that I need to pay towards it, and then I'll continue buying and spending. And the more you pay the minimum, then the store account offers you more credit, and then now you are increasing and increasing your credit. By the time you start working, you have this massive amount of store account debt. So I don't recommend store accounts for anybody. But a quick simple way is with your banking. I actually learned that savings accounts versus check accounts actually do contribute towards building a healthy credit record, though it's not going to work as quick as like your credit card or a store account where you actually have to go and apply for credit. But having a check account does contribute towards your credit score. So you can then start by changing your account from a savings account to a check account. Now, the challenge with having a check account is that you then become introduced to adding a credit card to your check account. And a lot of banks that offer transactional accounts and credit cards, they'll say you just pay one fee if you add a credit card to that. Now, that is where the tricky part comes. Because if you are looking to apply for finance within a year, you know, the check card will not give you that credit score that you are looking for your first car, or for your first apartment that you want to buy, or whatever credit that you want to take out. So I would always say start with your check card, your check account, and maybe a cell phone contract instead of a credit card, or a store account. Because with a cell phone contract, you know that you're using the phone, you pay every month, you have to pay every month, and there's no temptations of there's a certain amount of money in this card that you get to spend on things that you actually don't need. Because now people end up getting overly indebted with store accounts, because you just walk by the mall and then you see that mannequin that's wearing that blazer, and you've been imagining this outfit for that wedding that you are going to tomorrow, and you're like, this is the outfit for the wedding, oh my goodness. And you're like, oh, I haven't been paid, but you've got money in your store account. So I would say a cell phone contract is safer because you don't have a pool of money that you can go and spend, that you're not supposed to spend. But check accounts, don't sleep on a check account.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. For those in the chat that are wondering why, thinking maybe Mpo's a ghost because the screen is black, I think she's having some issues with the network. Hopefully that's
Yeah.
sorted out. So she's not a ghost, it's a real person, it's a real date. Don't worry. So while the internet figures itself out and network issues, Millicent has come to the date with some roses, some beautiful things. Somebody else has also brought you flowers, Dakar. They both talking about something very similar. So Militant says, I have a question around investment options. I'm a 24-year-old. Where should I be putting my money? Is it better to put my money into a tax-free savings account? Is it better to put my money into a fixed deposit type of investment? And then Dakalo says, as youth, we're often told to invest, but we're not necessarily given the information as to what to invest in. What are good investments and what are bad investments? And I think, for what this raises, I think sometimes people mix saving and investing and they think it's the same thing, and they're not the same. So
Yeah.
maybe we talk about the difference between saving and investing, and then as a young person, what should you actually be thinking about doing? Because obviously it will be different from person to person. But Millicent saying, 24-year-old, Dakalo's also saying, just as a young person, where should we be going?
Yeah. So savings are your safety net. So a savings account would compromise of, or your savings would be your emergency fund, where there's no risk associated with a savings account, right? Versus with investing, that also depends on your risk appetite. And I'll get into investing in detail, because every time I have this conversation, people are always just like, oh, wow. Because unfortunately, with investments, it's not it's not a product that you just find in the shop sitting in the shelf and then you just pick and say, I'm going to take this investment because my friend bought this investment and then it works for them, right? Investment products differ. They based on your how much you're willing to put into them, how long you want to stay invested, and your risk appetite. But then going back to savings, savings are just your safety net. Um, you don't get a lot of interest from your savings account, because there's not much exposure into the funds, where the funds can then be converted or directed into units, and then they play around in the market, and then you get the returns that um, you could potentially get. So I don't think you can get anything above 5% on like a normal savings account. So those are your 32 days accounts, those are your fixed deposit accounts, those are your savings pockets with your bank, the ones that every time when we get paid, we put money in and then people come back and take it out after 3 days, you know. So those are your savings profiles. And then when you're looking at investments, you're looking at your tax-free investments, you're looking at your unit trust investments, you're looking at your endowments. There's ETFs, you've got platforms like your Easy Equities, where you can actually sit and trade stocks. I'm not so clued up. Funny enough, I only got into Easy Equities this year because I felt like, okay, as a financial advisor, I'm also missing out, because people have good things to say about this platform, and I'm like, I have to jump into this. But when it comes to investing, I will never say no to anybody investing in a tax-free, because every other investment is taxed, and most of the investments are taxed at your income tax bracket. So what a lovely gift it is from SARS and you know, from our Minister of Finance to say, we are giving you 500,000 tax free here, you know, and then we'll tax you on whatever that's about 500,000. So I will never say no to someone taking out a tax free. However, this is when our conversation with a financial planner then becomes important, because when you sit and do your needs analysis or your investment needs analysis, we conduct what we call a risk analysis or a risk portfolio, right? So your risk portfolio, we then ask you questions that determine how much risk you want to take, or how much exposure do you want to take on in terms of offshore. Do you want to invest your money offshore? Do you want to keep it local? So we know that with offshore investments, those are your volatile investments, because that is where you actually get to have more returns, or you stand to make more returns out of your investment. And then when it comes to your local funds, you know, those are we do have volatile funds, that local funds that are volatile, but then it's safer to, so that would be your moderate investor or a conservative investor that says, you know what, I still want to preserve my capital. And I think people should know that with most of the investments, when you get into them, it is a gamble. Hence, you need to do a risk analysis, because if you find yourself invested in an extremely volatile fund and that fund crashes, and you lose a bit of the capital that you have invested, then you can't come back and say how but kanjani, because when you were sitting with the financial advisor, you were like, let's take it all the way, the higher risk, the higher returns, right? So with volatile funds, if you choose to go into a volatile fund, you need to be willing to keep the money invested long enough. So I always tell my clients that with tax frees, as much as they are flexible, they don't lock you in for a certain period into the investment. Treat it as a long term investment, because every other investment is going to tax you at your income tax bracket, right? So now you already have this 500,000 and it's per lifetime. Once you exhaust this 500,000, you're not going to have another 500,000, and you cannot go and open another tax free investment. So I would say treat your tax free as if it's an endowment. Treat it as if there's going to be penalties if you go and withdraw money from your tax free, because you want to maximize and utilize the tax free portion as much as you can. Because if you go into an endowment, and when we speak about endowments, I always say to clients that if you are below 30%, if your tax bracket is below 30%, you have no business investing in an endowment, because endowments are taxed at a fixed rate of 30%. So if your income tax is 18% or 21% or 26%, then you can look into unit trusts or other investments that are not going to tax you a fixed rate of 30%. However, if you are a baller and you are there with the black cards and with 42% tax, you're on the 42% tax bracket, or any tax bracket that's above 30%, then you can consider going into an endowment, because then it becomes tax savvy for you. So the tax component of investments, it's what makes it a bit complicated for people to understand. Hence, when I speak about investments, I won't say that invest in this, because then I would need to sit down with you and explain to you why this investment.
But can you still hear us? I think we're losing you just a little
Oh,
bit.
yes, yes. Um, I can still hear you. Yes, I lost you a bit there as well. I'm still here.
No worries,
Can
you
you
can
hear me?
continue. Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So I always say, I can't say invest in this, invest in that, because I haven't set and understood your risk appetite. So I would then say to, you know, anybody that is listening to this session, to say, understand your risk appetite, and your money personality as well. I remember speaking about money personalities earlier in the year. We were having a conversation on the touchdown, and we were speaking about money personalities, and that goes hand in hand with your risk appetite. Because if you are a saver, if your money personality is a saver, then you cannot be an aggressive investor, because savers are always concerned about, they always want to conserve. They don't want to lose the money that they have. Yes, they want to make some interest and make the money work for them, but then they're not willing to put in a lot and expose the money to a lot of risk, because they don't want to lose the capital that they have. So,
Mm,
but
mm.
I will always advocate for a tax free. Every person should have a tax free account, um, because that is the one investment that I can say it doesn't require, you just need to know your risk appetite so that when you go into the funds, you're invested in the right funds. But
Yeah.
every other investment, please sit with a financial advisor and tell your financial advisor, this is what I need, this is how much returns I need, I want to be invested for this long, I want to have access to the money, or I don't want to have access to the money. Then you will know which investment suits you.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And on the Black Bullion platform, we do talk a lot around investing, around crypto, around the different types of assets. So once you do get access to Black Bullion, we've got a whole lot of that information. And how I like to see it and to simplify it is you save with the intention to spend. So you're putting this money into an account because at some point in time, you're going to use your emergency fund, you're going to use it at some point in time. But you
Yes.
invest intention to earn. In other words, you're putting your
Yeah.
money into something that you hope will either increase in value or pay you an income at some point in time. And they're very different. And I think everything you've said sort of fills all of that in. But going to see a financial advisor, financial planner can better
Yeah.
can make it a little bit simpler for you. So, Paul, we've got a couple of questions. I want to do a quick fire because I know we are running out of time. Njabula has asked a brilliant question. He's come with some chocolates to this date, saying, "What is the
Ooh.
most overlooked or underrated money saving habit that students or young professionals can adopt early on, and how can it have a long term impact on financial well being?" So, right around those money habits that we overlook, we underrate, that young people can adopt because it'll have that long term benefit.
Yeah. I'll speak about my journey as a student, because I was those students that wanted to have money. I never wanted to eat noodles in school. So I was working a weekend job, doing jobs within campus, and I always made sure that I'm busy. But then um I then survived the varsity culture of going out, spending money on going out, doing this, doing that, doing that. So I guess I always knew that I want to be a financial planner, and I was always savvy with my money, because when I work, I know it's okay, I'm sending money home. I'd send my mom money home, so that she just keeps it for me, because I don't want the temptation of spending the money. But I would then say, rule number one, avoid taking out credit when you're in varsity. You have no business taking out credit in varsity. And I think, understanding your money personality also will then help in this case, and having your emotions in check, because we often underlook how our emotions impact our finances and our spending habits. Um, with us ladies, retail therapy, we'll always find a reason to go shopping because I'm not feeling good. Oh, I want to go buy a pair of sneakers because that assignment was stressing me so much. I had such a stressful week. You want to go out and splurge with your friends. But I then realized that actually that doesn't change your the fact whether or not you are present at the party, whether or not you walk in with that new sneaker, whether or not you're gonna have that popularity, or your friends are gonna praise you at the time, and then everybody just moves on. So the one thing that I experienced was I felt like I needed to fit in, in a certain way, because I felt a bit invisible in varsity. I was always busy. So I had to find a way that when people see me, they need to respect me. So I then got an obsession of buying sneakers. And every new pair of Jordans that comes, I'm just like, I gotta have that pair of Jordans, because now when people see me, I'd always go for the limited editions. Because now when my peers see me, it's like, oh my goodness, oh, you got those retros, oh my gosh, but then I then realized now that it actually didn't do anything for me, because you're just getting that glory for that moment, and then you continue with your life. But you then spend 2,000, you spend 3,000 to buy a pair of shoes trying to impress your peers, and you really have no business Well, it's good for your confidence, they say. But then if your pocket doesn't allow, I don't stop people from spending on things that they like. And I always say that it is important to spend on the things that you like, but just make sure that in your budget does allow you to spend on that. This is where now savings come into play. I remember when yeah, there was a point in my life where I had a wedding dress fund.
Wow.
And yeah, let me tell you the story about my wedding dress, Tebo. So I was like, okay, cool. I want a wedding dress by a specific designer. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna make my husband bear the cost of this wedding dress because I know how much this designer charges for wedding dresses. Then I started my own wedding dress fund. And at some
Yes.
point I was like, I actually have a lot of money in this wedding dress, but there's no husband. So let's actually just spend this money and go on holiday with this money. So even as students, start saving from when you're a student. If your parents send you money and then you feel that they're sending you more than enough money, you are able to save that. You
Mm,
mentioned a very important point before I jumped on while you were speaking, that the little amount of money, and I think people are scared to speak to financial advisors, or they are scared to start the investing journey because they think you need to have exorbitant lump sums, or you need to have a specific amount of money, you need to have a job, you need to have a pay slip, you need to have had assets for you to then get into the investing um, journey. But then from as little as 100 rands, get yourself into that habit of saving, because by the
yeah.
time you have your first salary, by the time you have your first stipend from your internship, you've already created that culture of saving. Because it's difficult to then get your first job, you haven't created a culture of saving, and then now you have all these things that you want to buy when you get your first paycheck. Then you then leave the saving for, oh, I'll see it next month. This month it was my first salary. I thought but then there wasn't enough money to save. But then if you get yourself into the culture, you will then start by saving before you actually um,
Love that.
spend the money. Yeah. So
Yeah.
stay away from credit, start saving, and guard your emotions. I
Mm,
always say when I'm in a store and I look at an item that's on sale, especially the sale items can be a problem. I'll look at the items that are on sale and be like, it's on sale. But then there was no immediate need for it. When I was thinking about it, I just saw it now. It's not an immediate need. So go home, think about it, and come back
emotion.
and see
Yeah.
if, yeah.
Definitely. Mpo, I can't believe that our date has come to an end. 30 minutes just flew past.
Oh, can we
In
do
touch.
breakfast tomorrow?
Yes, we need to go on a date. In the meantime, I know there'll be people who want to connect with you. They want to consult with you. Where do we get in touch with you? How do we connect with you? We will share your details as well, but where can we find you?
Yeah. All right. You can find me on Instagram. It is the Modern Financial Advisor. I'm also on TikTok. It's the Modern Financial Advisor. And on my TikTok and my Instagram, I've got a little Calendly link where you can book a 30 minutes session with me. So hurry and book them now while they are still free, because very soon I'm going to start charging. So run.
Mpo, thank you so much. We're going to share all those details with our community that are 10,000 strong and those that want to book and start really building a relationship with their money. Mpo, thank you so much for going on this date with us.
Thank you for having me. And this was a lovely date. Yeah. Can we have a second date?
Of course. We're going to be on the second date and share it with the rest of our community. Thank you so much, Mpo, for joining us.
Thank you, Tempo.
Righty, so that was the amazing, out of this world, the modern financial advisor. We're going to go on more dates with her. It seems to be quite popular for us to have dates with financial advisors, and you guys get an opportunity to ask all your questions. So before we wrap things up, we're going to get into the winner's circle. So we've got a mix of Mr. Price, Uber, and Checkers vouchers, each worth $100, and we want to reward you for hanging out with us, for following us on social media, for asking all those brilliant and amazing questions. So a round of applause for these individuals that have won themselves a voucher. To Fios Libisi, big shout out to you. You've got yourself a voucher. Murindwa, you've also got yourself a voucher. Big shout out to you. Indaleni, I see you. Great questions, great comments. And I know following us on social media. Sanda Goke, you've also got yourself a voucher. And Millicent, big shout out to you. I know Millicent was very interesting in all the in investing. So to Filios, Murendwa, Endlaleni, Sanda, and Millicent. Big shout out to you guys. We will reach out to you guys via email and send you those vouchers. And of course, remember to sign up onto the Black Bullion platform. We've always got goodies, we've got all types of things going out. And if you didn't win, I'm willing to give more vouchers. All you've got to do is to scan the QR code on the screen. It'll give you a chance to rate this session. What did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy? What can we do better? What are you interested in? And right there's one of the questions that we ask. Please give us your email address. So what I will do, let's say in the next hour, I will go and randomly select 3 people and I'll send them vouchers. So scan the QR code. It'll help to make our sessions better. It'll also give us a chance to, give you a chance to win some goodies. So we will also share all the information via email. We'll send you our financial advisors details. We'll send you all the links so that you can register for free on Black Bullion, courtesy of Sanlam Foundation. But you can also scan the QR code, rate the session, and you could win yourself some goodies. That brings us to the end of our session, flirting with finance, money made easy, made sexy. Big shout out to Mpo, and a big shout out to you guys for joining our session. Look out for our next webinar. Look out for our next competition, our next campaign. And of course, we'll also be sharing this recording with you. Thank you so much for joining us, the Black Bullion South Africa team, and have a fantastic evening.